This is Friday, the 15th of May, and here's Michelle with announcements.
Hey. Hi, Bill, and hello, everyone out there for this May 15th. We have rain, 2 days in a row. Isn't it beautiful?
We've
Look
actually,
at the window.
yeah, it is, and we've had it the last month or so. We've had rain at least a couple days a week, and the reason is we're heading into a cooling period. It's a natural cycle every 180 years, which is what I predicted, and it was based on science from Dr. Hababil Adamazatov from the Russian Space Agency, Dr. Easterbrook here in America, and other U.S. and European scientists. They're heading into what's called a Maunder-type mini cooling period. They call it mini ice age, but it really isn't. It's just a cooling period.
Well, it's wonderful to see the rain, no matter what's causing it or not causing it, or whatever. It's just wonderful.
So crisis over. No more drought.
Okay. How about the specials this week, Bill?
I don't know
What's
about them at all.
Front page?
I'm completely in a fog here about the specials. You tell me what they are.
I look and I still see the Collagen Max. It looks like Michelle left that one up for some reason. Busy week, lots of company. Nutridyne and the Femgesterone is still on clearance, and lactose blocker. I just wanted to tell you that because we're discontinuing those. Whereas the NutriComplete, I had extra stock, and we're not discontinuing that. That's very popular. And by the way, there's a little addendum I want to add to that. Oh, yes.
If you want to order these discontinued lines, you can order, but you have to order 6. There's no 6 plus 1 free, and you're not going to get a massive clearance price.
Well, guess what?
So if you want lactose blocker or Femgesterone, you have to order minimum 6.
Then a good reason to get it now.
Get it now. It's
30% off.
Yeah. Exactly. And
now, Bill, why would the regular person want, like I don't take lactose blocker, why would someone even bother taking that?
First off, 98% of the population can't break down lactose. Lactose causes dysbiosis in your gut and leaky gut and food allergies. Mm-hmm. It is the primary cause of autoimmune conditions, is a dysbiosis in your gut. Mm-hmm. And it's one of the primary factors inducing diabetes, which is elevated blood insulin, which makes your liver produce the wrong amino acids to your fat cells, and your fat cells then produce chemicals that actually shut down your insulin and leptin.
Well,
so in other words, when you eat milk products and you don't have the lactase enzyme, which is only about 2% of the population, mm-hmm. you're going to get elevated blood insulin levels, you're going to get dysbiosis in your gut. And we have the only neutral pH lactase developed by a biological scientist in Europe, where we got it from. And we put it out there, and of course, obviously people didn't get the idea that if you've got a dysbiosis in your gut, you've got constipation, diarrhea, irritable bowel syndrome, colitis, or if you're just trying to lose weight, or you want to stay healthy and you've picked up on a stool test like a CDSA, you've got a dysbiosis, you need lactose blocker.
Okay. You're making me think of the fact that I drink tea every day with milk.
Right. And only 2% of the population has the enzymes, because they're basically called fetal or infantile enzymes to break down lactose, and the rest can't.
So that means I'm drinking usually, because I have, many, many cups of tea. We won't put a number on it. I don't want to shock anybody there. But I have a lot of cups of good orange pico tea with milk, whole milk.
Yeah.
So I wonder if I could be taking that.
Well, you should be. And the reason why is that lactose, which is in cheese, milk, and yogurt,
I eat
etc.
a lot of cheese.
And what happens is it has glucose and galactose. And if you don't break it down and absorb it, your bacteria do, and they create lots of nasty stuff in your guts.
No, just a minute. Is there lactose in cheese?
Yes.
I thought
any
cheese
milk
was
product
kind of non-allergenic in some ways.
No, it doesn't have. It only has 2 of the 8 allergenic proteins that are in milk.
Yeah.
But they all contain lactose.
Oh.
All milk products contain it. And it's not only that, it's in breads, it's in all kinds of stuff. And the problem is people don't get it. I'm trying to train people on why these... See, our nutraceuticals are so unique. This is the only neutral pH lactase in the world. You can go to a pharmacy anywhere. You can ask your doctor, and he'll give you a lactase enzyme if you've got milk intolerance. This is the only one on the planet. There's nobody else that has it.
And that's why we made so much. We made such a big batch of it.
Right.
And now it's just sitting there, so I have it on clearance because no one really, even me, I don't even understand the product myself until just now, and I'm thinking I could probably stand to take a couple.
Most people don't realize that all of our products are so unique. You cannot get anything like it if you go to companies like Life Extension and GNC Vitamins and Longevity, wherever. You're not going to find our Nutrimeds.
You're hitting everybody here.
Oh, yeah, I hit everybody. And I can show scientific and technical and biological proof of why they're inferior.
I would like to get into some of the conversations I've had this week, starting with Kelly. Kelly's from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And
good. Nice city.
She's happy up in Canada. She had a kind of a good idea, and I said I'd run it past you to see if it's viable, and that is that could you use the Nutridyne, a few drops of Nutridyne in your filtered water for doing your veggie washes?
Yes.
It would be a good thing.
Oh, yeah. Nutridyne, we sent out 300 plus vials to Liberia through Regma Ministries. Mm-hmm. Not one of the Regma Ministries doctors and PAs or any of the villagers got Ebola. Ebola is carried in the inside, because it's a filovirus, retrovirus, is filovirus RNA virus, inside mycobacteria. And the Nutridyne kills off intracellular pathogens as well as extracellular mycobacteria.
Like when I'm washing my sweet potatoes.
You could sit them in a bowl with some water for, say, 5 minutes, and the Nutridyne will kill everything off on them.
And then wash over the tap.
Yeah, but I use
filtered water.
Yeah, I use filtered water. I wouldn't use tap water because tap water is contaminated with, for example, most people aren't aware of this.
I know that.
Giardia lamblia and all kinds of other parasites get through our tap water that chlorine doesn't kill at all. In fact, I think they think it's vitamins.
When I say the tap, you know what tap I'm talking about. That's our pure water tap.
Yeah, I know, but we're spoiled. You see, a lot of people think they turn on the tap and the water's okay to use for cleaning the vegetables, and they're wrong.
Okay, you're clarifying that.
Yeah.
She also asked Bill about Fukushima, because she's in Vancouver City, and apparently I guess there's a direct current or something that goes past there. She wanted to know if she should move inland or if she should stay in Vancouver City.
Right after Fukushima Daiichi, and this is by independent scientists, they calculated out that Seattle and Vancouver were receiving, each person in those cities were receiving 7 hot radioactive, long-acting isotope radioactive particles per day that they were breathing in there. Here's what the real reality is. The Kuroshio Current, which carries waters from Japan and splits and goes north toward Alaska and south along the coast, it's killing off the entire intertidal region and the Georgia Strait area of British Columbia. There are no carrion birds, not even insects. There's no baby orca whales. There's no salmon run. There's no smelts, nothing. Now, but the air is different. By the time the air gets to North America, it's at 26,000 feet plus where the radioisotopes are. It's not near the ground. And a lot of people are all freaked out because they think it's going to hit them. No. As long as you don't eat seafood from those areas where radioactive, and believe it or not, it's mainly in British Columbia. If you check the seafood here in California, it's not. Unless you're eating tuna, which I tell people never eat it because it absorbs, they're high in the food chains that are going to absorb radioisotopes and biotoxins, because a tuna is a superfish. They can cross the Pacific Ocean in a matter of days. But if you have local fish here, even in Alaska, the fish may be fine because by the time the waters get there, it's actually curling back and going back toward Japan. So the waters may not get to Alaska. So the best way to test is test the fish at independent labs like Jordy Labs, Jordi, Jordy Labs. And you can test the fish yourself if you're a native or if you're a local municipality or city. And we should start testing food, water, and other things like Dr. Kai Vetter at the University of Berkeley Nuclear Engineering Department, which they stopped 2.5 years ago after talking to a character by the name of Deagle.
Steve from Missouri has a friend, 74 years old, Bill, diagnosed with the sclerosis of the liver. They want to do a transplant. What's your...
Well, you have to understand what sclerosis is. Sclerosis is where the sinusoids are being closed down by scarring in between the intersinusoidal regions. So the fibroblasts multiply between the sinusoids of the liver caused by the virus inflammation, and they start to cinch down and close on the we call the blood vessels inside the liver. And they back up the blood flow that can go into your esophagus and cause your esophageal varices. So what I do is use anti-scarring things like Inflamex that'll break down the scars. We have things to stimulate the stem cells to reheal the liver. So if they contact me, I'll put up a protocol on how to stop sclerosis of the liver and how to regenerate, because it'll regenerate very quickly too. Welcome back, and the Nutrimedical Report is live with Michelle, our host with the most, and she's got some of your emails and questions, and we're here in the batter cage trying to answer them. Let's go.
You know, Bible Gateway that I talk about from time to time, about the verses. Well, every day I get
they're great.
A new verse.
Yeah, they're good.
But this one struck me this week, and I wanted to read it because so often, because of the I guess the issue with abortion, and we need to. I guess what was the newest news on abortion with that you were telling me about? Operation
Outcry. I talked to Joyce Zunis.
Yes.
And I'll be getting some of those people legally on. Also, a professor, Dr. For the jurisdictionary, Dr. Fred Graves.
The pain thing.
Well, actually, Congress passed a bill that if abortion could cause a pain potentially to a baby, that it was illegal. And now it's going on to the Senate, so if the Senate passes it, all those abortions will be illegal in this country.
Wow. So here's
and by the way, what they need to know is neurologically, after 6 weeks, the baby's nervous system is formed, which basically covers all abortions except for chemical abortions before 6 weeks, where they take, the abortifacient pills.
It's all bad.
Which are also dangerous. Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah, because you can get very bad bleeding afterward or other complications, like retained material.
The sperm and the egg meet, you have a new person right there.
Well, it's not the mother's body. It's a separate body with separate genetics. And the problem is, if the fetus, they did research at the George Washington University in the 70s and the University of Palma in Italy, and they were able to create an artificial uterus. So you could grow a fetus straight from the egg and embryo, and research that's going on, the clandestine research in China and Japan, have succeeded in growing human beings in these artificial uteri. It's very dangerous and scary stuff because this will lead to things like cyborgs and genetic engineering of splicing animal genes into humans and so on. And people say, no, that can't happen. No, they're wrong.
Well, here's Psalm 139, 13-14. For thou hast possessed my reins. Thou hast covered me in my mother's womb. I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well.
Exactly.
It's funny how we often think of Jeremiah, other verses with abortion, but this one here is good. Do you want me to give that to you?
Yeah.
You might want to keep that.
That's a good one, Sam. Okay. Yeah, actually, I remember quoting this many, many years ago when we were talking pro-life and traveling around and pro-life talks to different churches.
We'll start with Steve in an email. Dr. Bill, my mother did the procedure to reset the heart rhythm. I think I remember him talking about that before. And I would like to get the supplements to help ensure this holds. Please advise me what to get.
I went over her drugs, actually. I did them last week for Steve, his mom. And virtually 10 out of the 12 drugs were inappropriate, wrong dosages, and totally crazy. Like amiodarone, praserone, which has got black box warnings. And I tell people, just read the medical legal warnings.
What is that?
Amiodarone. It can cause massive immunological, neurological problems. It's just unbelievable. And then they had her on two proton pump inhibitor and an H2 blocker. Here's the essential thing. What is atrial fibrillation? Atrial fibrillation is primarily a deficiency of magnesium and a dysfunction of mitochondria in the heart. In the atrioventricular nodes, you end up with abnormal reentrant rhythms, so the atria start fibrillating. So you need to replace magnesium. You need things like Vasc Care, CoQ10, CoQ10 ubiquinol, uridine, and mitochondrial catalysts. But the most important is the Vasc Care and the use of CoQ10 and CoQ10 ubiquinol. And magnesium glycinate malate and magnesium taurate are essential.
Next, Bill, we have a longtime fan, he says, Chris from Missouri. I wanted to know about some of your products that might help out my health concerns. I have various health-related inquiries and have many family members in the same position as me. I've just had knee reconstruction surgery in January, and as a result, he completely ruptured his ACL, Bill, playing soccer.
Right.
I would like to know what products or protocol can help me get back to 100%.
First thing is you got to make sure the orthopedic surgeon has cleaned out any free debris like fibrillated cartilage or areas. So they need to burr it down, clean out the area, and if the area is dry and there's no hydroviscous layer, they can put Hyland, which is a 3 million molecular weight polymer made from rooster combs. It's a pharmaceutical grade injectable. Then you want to take Tendon Mender and Joint Performance. Tendon Mender and Joint Performance, 1 to 2 capsules twice a day. Collagen Max, 1 under the tongue, opened 4 times a day. Collagen Max twice a day, 1 capsule. And Mountain Red Velvet under the tongue, opened 4 times a day. And that'll regenerate for inflammation, Inflamex. And Inflamex, basically, you want to take 3 to 5 capsules twice a day.
Okay, and he also says Happy Mother's Day. I guess this email was just crossing here, Phil.
Right.
And he said the world is a better place because of the two of you. Is that sweet? I love that. That's sweet.
Well, we try to do God's will and help people. And
I don't know if the world's a better place.
God's given us skill sets to be able to do that. So, and He's given us a voice to be able to do it on Genesis Network and other shows that we're interviewed on.
Oh, how's Dr. Yu coming along?
Very well. Very well indeed.
Yeah, I know you're working on it.
In fact, I talked to a PBS producer that she wants to do a segment on Darla Boone. And Darla works with PBS, and she wants to interview me on development of that and some other work we're doing.
Christian from Toronto, Canada. Hello, my name is Christian, Toronto. I have some questions relating to my hairline starting to recede. I am 20 years old and still have a full head of hair, but my hairline is slightly starting to recede on the corners. I remember a long time ago Dr. Deagle talking about taking something he takes to keep his hair as full as it can be.
First off, use recidival hair tonic on your scalp twice a day. After bath or shower, or just on your scalp before you go to bed. You just take a few drops and with a dropper and put it on there. Secondly, you want to take Collagen Max, 1 capsule twice a day, and Mountain Red Velvet, open a capsule 4 times a day. And then I recommend Lumen Photon, and you can put it on Nico setting, and it'll help regenerate the hair follicles.
But keeping it simple, I can tell you just the Collagen Max is amazing.
Well, if you just take 2 things, Collagen Max and Recidival Hair Tonic, that in most cases will work, but if it doesn't, the next step up is to add those other things, the Mountain Red Velvet and the Lumen Photon Therapy Nico setting.
Laura and Paul from Arizona. Hi, Dr. Bill and Michelle. We've been listeners for many years and also use some of your products, which are always we're recommending to many people. Let's see. Paul has developed gout. He was in such pain that he took prednisone that the doctor prescribed and even Vicodin. Although he normally avoids any pharmaceutical drugs, and that was about a month ago. So I guess she needs a protocol for that. I guess he's trying to. His diet's a big part of it too, isn't it?
Well, you want to avoid things that contain like shellfish and high purine diet. It's called. You want to be on a low purine diet. It's called. But the most important thing.
So what do you avoid? What kind of a diet is that?
No shellfish, anchovies, things like that.
I thought red meat. Is that one of them?
No, not really. No, it's no. The main thing actually is not the diet. It's a methylation pathway disorder. So you start with bio-LVR, which is activated B6, B12, and folic acid alpha-related. Then you go Samethyl, 1 sachet under the tongue twice a day. Superfolate, a capsule twice a day, and power muscle B12, and it'll go away.
What you say it's methylation. What is it? What is gout?
Gout is basically a lack of being able to get rid of uric acid by the methylation pathways. So you developed things like, for example, homocysteine goes along with it. So when I see someone with high uric acid and gout, they should do an L-methionine challenge of 500 milligrams the night before and do a test for homocysteine as well, because uric acid is an independent risk factor to burn your artery walls and to cause kidney stones. And homocysteine will burn your brain as well as your arteries. It's bad in your heart. So you can go to heart failure, and you can actually fry your brain with homocysteine. So it's a warning. Michelle, you have lots of good questions. Let's roll.
Henry from Corona, California, has a praise report here. Bill, remember little baby Ethan with the stealth virus CMV?
Yeah, he had actually an aseptic meningitis.
Well, I don't know if you got this email, but he sent it to me, and the tumor. Well, you know what you recommended, the silver?
Yeah, he had basically, I thought he had viral meningitis, and they had been trying things that weren't working. They added the silver to that protocol.
And anyways, he just is saying praise and thanksgiving to our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Great. He's just really excited because I guess he had 350 kids praying for him. As well, and he just wanted me to,
praise the Lord,
say that thank you.
Yeah, and the silver will penetrate the blood-brain barrier, so whether it's in your eye, it's part of our eye protocol, because most people with intraocular hypertension, like glaucoma, have got mycobacteria, which is a relative of TB in their eye. They don't realize they got TB in their eyeball, and the canals of Schlemm, and it's called SCHLEMM. And when you have a viral meningitis like this, which is not that uncommon, the silver will cross the blood-brain barrier, and it's more effective than the drugs like antiviral drugs like ribavirin they give and other antivirals, because they're extremely toxic drugs. And often they'll cover with antibiotics, but it's not usually a bacterial infection. It's most commonly viral.
Elizabeth, in an email. Dr. Deagle, may this email find you blessed and progressing. I have a difficult situation with my disabled brother. He was intervened 35 times for an aneurysm in the thalamus many years ago. And then he had a prostate operation for a BPH 2.5 years ago.
Right.
today he is bleeding from the penis for the second time in 3 months. They have done a general urine analysis where the leukocytes are increased, and they claim this indicates an infection. I would really appreciate your recommendation.
First thing you want to do is do an ultrasound to make sure he doesn't have any kidney stones, like cystine stones, we call staghorn, or uric acid stones, because you can have a stone causing a bleed higher up in the urinary tract. Secondly, he probably needs a cystoscopy by a urologist to look in the bladder wall to see if he has a tumor, a urogenital tumor present as well. For infection, real simple, Allicin Med, a capsule 3 times a day, Nutridyne 10 drops to 20 drops 3 times a day in water, and Silver 100, 3 drops or 1 spray per 10 pounds body weight 3 times a day. To boost the immune system, NutriDefense and NutriImmune, 2 capsules of NutriDefense 3 times a day, and 4 capsules of NutriImmune 3 times a day, and that'll clear it. To stop the bladder spasms, bladder up, 1 soft gel morning and night, Swedish flower pollen 1 to 2 tablets 4 times a day, and that will heal the bladder wall. And in terms of benign prostatic swelling, prostate flow, 2 soft gels twice a day, and to protect against bladder cancer, prostate cancer, NutriDefense, of course, and Xenoestrogen Detox. The Xenoestrogen is 1 capsule twice a day.
Lawrence from Alaska. Basically, Bill, he has tinnitus in the right ear. We hear that a lot, don't we?
Yeah, tinnitus is an increase in,
that?
it's an inflammation of the endolymph of the semicircular canals that regulate your balance. You have a canal that goes in each direction, vertical, horizontal, etc. So it's all different, 3 different vectors.
And how do you know if you have that?
It's easy. You do what's called a vestibular platform study. There's done
What
at
symptoms
universities.
would a person have?
The room seems to be moving and you're not. And you can actually do a test, a neurological test, where you see a certain what's called optokinetic nystagmus. That's done by a neurologist or an internal medicine doctor like myself that will pick it up. Very easy to test, but the vestibular platform test is only at a few universities. I had one when I was in Denver at our facility at Swedish Hospital Medical Center, and it's really cool. It'll tell you exactly what's going on. You've got inflammation in there, so you want to use cell defense, cell detox, glutathione, Nutritrol, and Regenerex. And to stop the inflammation, Omega Supreme Krill and Neurogen, as well as, of course, Nutritrala. And as you start to reduce the inflammation in there with the cell defense and these other components, it'll start to heal. You want to use Cognition Plus, 2 capsules 2 to 3 times a day, and Brain Power 1 capsule 3 times a day. And we need to add Synaptin, a capsule 3 times a day, and that'll make the free radicals settle down. Oftentimes there's an internal pathogen present or a stealth pathogen, so I recommend Silver 100, Nutridyne, and Allicin Med, as I mentioned before.
There's a lot of questions here from Connie and Dusty from Ohio, Bill, and I will just name off what the protocol they're looking for, and you would just tell me. So they both have quite a few. So obesity.
Well, what is obesity? Obesity is where your fat tissues are sending off a signal to reduce the number of insulin and leptin receptors. So your appetite gets out of control, and your body starts to shunt calories into fat in your liver, and your fat tissues start generating what's called adipokines that actually get rid of insulin receptors. So your body multiplies your fat cell number because it thinks you're starving. And it's the amino acid concentrations from your liver that tell the fat cells that you're in starvation mode, and the fat cells then send a signal back called adipokines to all the tissues of your body to get rid of insulin receptors. So you want to use leptin metabolic, a capsule twice a day, dibetaline, 2 capsules twice a day, biotin plus a capsule twice a day, minerals plus a capsule twice a day, chromium cruciferate and lipo flush, 2 soft gels twice a day, glycemics and carbo blocker and lactose blocker. All of those 3 will help weight loss, because what happens is the glycemics will stabilize your blood sugar. The lactose blocker will get rid of the milk lactose, which is a big problem for obesity too. And the carbo blocker, 2 capsules before meals and snacks.
Okay, and what do you think of a low-carbo diet?
Oh yeah, the George Cruz low-carbo diet's the core one, not the paleo diet. Paleo diet never existed. So morons like the poster child from the... no, he's a moron. And he's an arrogant moron too, the guy that runs CrossFit, that pushes the paleo diet. The paleo diet never existed in ancient, quote, caveman, which also is an anomaly.
Hypertension protocol.
What is hypertension? Hypertension is your heart trying to compensate for decreased peristaltic waves of your secondary blood vessels, because your blood vessels pump the blood, not your heart. Your heart starts a primary wave. Even when the blood returns to your heart actually in the right ventricle only pumps blood to your lungs. It doesn't pump it back to the heart. It's the contractile waves of your veins that actually push it back.
So cardiovasc.
Cardiovasc. Gamma E+, Supernox, magnesium taurate, magnesium glycinate malate, Forest Colon, Vasc Care, and CoQ10 Supreme, CoQ10 Ubiquinol.
And not to confuse anyone there with the Cardivite, Cardiovasc, it's identical. It's just that we have the American rights and we have the name is just changed. We just changed it from
Yes, so the Canadian
Cardivite
version doesn't have ginkgo biloba, which,
Yeah.
by the way, improves brain circulation and microcirculation. So the Canadian regulatory authorities removed ginkgo.
The next one is, what kind of acne is that? Comatone or
Coming down, yeah.
what's that?
It's a more common acne. It's the simplest kind, where you get the sebaceous glands have got the dermocenter mite in them, and the dermocenter mite causes a reaction in the fatty acids that are produced by the body. Mm-hmm. There's 5 different fatty acid subtypes that actually will induce inflammation with the dermocenter mite and bacteria that grow in there in the comedones. And what happens is those inflammatory changes will cause it to swell up around the comedo, and the oils build up, and you create an acne comedo. So the thing to do there is to take Neovasc orally by mouth, a tablet twice a day, Power C Plus, 3 capsules twice a day so you don't get flushing. And then topically on your skin, you want to use the curcumin cream after you wash it with a neutral soap like Dove Unscented or MG12.
Next is that
And by the way, you want to spray your skin afterwards with Silver 100.
they have a problem with the poor tooth enamel as well.
Poor tooth enamel, you want to take Bone Generator, which contains a trace of elements to rebuild your enamel because it's constantly regrowing. Vitamin K2, 1 to 2 capsules twice a day. Myco D2, 1 capsule to 2 capsules twice a day. And Micelle D3, 3 soft gel, 5,000 units twice a day.
They also ask about low back pain.
Low back pain, basically, the first thing you want to do is take Inflamex, 3 to 5 capsules 2 to 3 times a day. Collagen Max, a capsule twice a day. Tendon Mender, 1 capsule twice a day to 2 twice a day. Joint Performance, 2 capsules twice a day. And then locally I'd put on the back either Micropulse or Lumen Photon or both. And the best exercises to do are VibraSlim with body elastic bands and free weights like the ones you can adjust, like between 5 pounds and 50 pounds, and exercise and do stretches on the VibraSlim. It's really going to get your back in place. And then you want to make sure you don't need a shoe lift, or you've got a leg length imbalance or a problem with your feet, so you might need a custom orthotics.
And finally, for memory, a brief protocol for
Cognition
memory.
Plus, Brain Power, Neurogen are the 3 core. And also for memory, CDP choline, uridine monophosphate, and
Simple.
ultrathymine B1.
Keep
Those
it
are the ones for
simple.
cholinergic pathways.
But simply
Level 1,
cognition.
Cognition Plus, Brain Power, Neurogen. Second level, CDP choline, uridine monophosphate for cholinergic pathways, and ultrathymine B1. So, I just happened to catch the tail end of that last commercial on
It's
Extendivite.
aggravating you, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm just going to clarify here. Firstly, I do not
Okay.
endorse Extendivite. It is a knockoff of Cardivite, which is now Cardiovasc. It is not checking every batch with high-pressure chromatography to make sure all the components. It doesn't use the same part of the plant. It doesn't have the research backing. Okay, so you have to understand that out there, if you're hearing commercials on my show, I do not endorse any of their products. I endorse only our products, and I go through them very carefully. That's why when people contact me, I got this great product, I got that one. It's most of the time it's a waste of my time, although I'll research and check it out because I have contacts in the Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine, which is like 850,000 health professionals and 26,500 doctors. The Academy of Environmental Medicine, the American College for Advancement in Medicine. These are the top doctors in the world. So whenever somebody else who's not a doctor
And
will
guess
make
what?
statements like this, it's aggravating.
Guess what? I don't. And you're a teacher there too. Let's throw that in.
Yeah, well, I
This is blow your own
I was
horn,
certified
go
as a
for it.
professor in
Okay.
medicine for
Let's-
35 years, so I'm getting a
Okay,
little bit
Bill. I think everybody knows.
stretched on that. Okay,
You know
let's
what?
go.
I think all our listeners know.
Yeah,
They know you.
I'm a sheepdog for God, and I have a bark, and I do have a bite.
And they do appreciate.
Also,
it.
I'm half a lawyer too, so that people have to understand that.
Stop saying I, and I'm going to finish my sentence.
Right.
Listen to me. Look.
Well, I'm doing
Look,
what God
look at me.
will is to tell people
Bill,
the truth.
Look over here.
Go ahead.
I hear from people
Woof,
every
woof.
week, every week that they're so grateful and so thankful that you freely give all this knowledge. But you know what? It's more important than any of that.
But
I can say
I care.
you care. You absolutely, sincerely care.
Yeah, I don't want somebody to have a heart attack or a stroke or not open up an artery because they're taking something inferior.
Yeah, you really do care.
Yeah.
Because I'll say, my gosh, Bill, you're on the phone for an hour. You got all those, all those other people waiting.
When did
and
I finish
everything."
my last consult last night?
I don't know.
10:30 at night.
Pennsylvania. Scott from Pennsylvania is bodybuilding, and I no doubt you want to give a plug about your new, what is it called? Mega Muscles?
Mega
or
Muscles,
something?
that's my new
my
shirt.
gosh.
It was developed by the way, it's not developed by me.
No.
It's by the top biological scientists for muscle building in the world. We have actually that scientist on our side. And he developed this formula, which we have custom designed. It's called Mega Muscles.
Is that just for guys?
Anybody. Not only that,
Why would a woman want Mega Muscles?
you're not going to build big muscles, bulky muscles. You're going to build long, trim muscles. Women don't bulk up. Women go to their biological. They get long, they get strong, but they don't get big blown out muscles.
You've seen some of those MMA fighters? Wow, they get big. Some of those women get big.
That's because they're taking steroids and doing other things that are not good for them, and they're actually turning into males. And if you measure their testosterone, androstenedione, and dihydrotestosterone levels, they're masculinizing. It's not good for them.
That's not good. That's why they don't have their periods, too. Lots of
Right,
time you'll see
that's right.
women
And so
do
another
too much.
thing for building a body is you always want to take Collagen Max, Tendon Mineral Joint Performance, and Mountain Red Velvet, because you've got to build up the tensile strength of your tissues, and you want the building blocks, and also for solid organ regeneration, Nutrifos Neurogen, and our new Copper Regenemax, because copper is important for regenerating any organ in your body. Without adequate, what's called organic ligand copper, and in the proper ratio to zinc, which creates DNA, you cannot regenerate organs. So you need the proper zinc copper, but we have additional Copper Regenemax, along with Nutrifos Neurogen and Mountain Red Velvet for rebuilding organs.
Carl from Ohio, he's from Hawaii. Diverticulosis. What is diverticulosis?
50% of the population over 40 has it. It's weak points in the bowel wall where blood vessels enter, and you get an outpoaching of the inside mucosal lining that starts to grab with non-soluble fiber and form a little stone called a fecalith, or a fecal stone, and it can actually erode through and rupture and cause a peritonitis we call left-sided appendicitis that can kill you. It can also cause chronic low-grade infection with anaerobic bacteria that generate molecules that will even crash in your brain that we can measure, for example, in your urine with Dr. William Shaw's lab in Overland Park, Kansas, Great Plains Laboratory. He's with the best source for doing that test. And the best test for testing the stool is the CDSA2 test. You go to directlabs.com and order the CDSA number 2 test with DNA probes and cultures and so on, and at the research lab in Atlanta. And it's available for the public. You can order the test kit and do it yourself and send it back into them. But you can grow anaerobic organisms there. The treatment for it is colon cleanse, gastrozyme, zinc carnosine, which is the gastro heal, probiotics, living probiotic ultra, berberstatin to kill off the pathogens, allicin med, Nutridine, and silver 100, and immunoglobulins to heal the bowel wall, Nutriimmune. It's a big problem. It's a major problem. A lot of people end up, with an ostomy bag, or it causes cancer because these deconjugating bacteria in the lower bowel take toxins your liver's conjugated to get out of your body, and the bacteria actually re-release the toxin, so it goes to your brain, your heart, your liver, and your bowel wall, and it can cause bowel cancer. And I worked with actually some of the biochemists who were working on this research 40 years ago at our university. And they were in the same labs as me, and they were doing work on looking at stool at these deconjugating bacteria in the lower bowel that actually re-release the biotoxins into the bloodstream. So diverticulosis is not a benign thing. It means you're on your way to bowel cancer, and cancers throughout your body, including breast and brain. And it means you could end up with an ostomy or peritonitis. It's dangerous.
David from Oklahoma. Hey, David. Hey there, Dr. Deagle. Listen to you today. Please read this email here, right, sometime over your radio broadcast. As a listener and supporter of your radio show, don't think for 1 minute I have ever forgotten our 2-hour conversation I had with you several years back. I guess because he's from Oklahoma, Bill. I think we were living in Colorado Springs. He's talking about your... Anyways, he's talking about the Murrah bombing site.
Right.
In Oklahoma City, and he said, I was here at home the day the blast went off, and there were 2. First a smaller detonation, and then the big one struck. Every time I drive by that phony reflecting pool, Gates of Time, Field of Empty Chairs, Survivor's Wall, and Survivor's Tree, I get nauseated and sick to my stomach. It makes me have to review my past feelings when we were under the gun with Bill Clinton as president and elements of the federal government, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you a few information that you may not know. Dr. Yankee was actually a doctor who actually was there within minutes after the explosion because his offices were right beside the Murrah building. He went over there. The FBI killed him. Okay? And we know it was an assassination. We also know that when I did examine all 5 munitions team, one of them broke down and said, look at my arm, Dr. Deagle. I got this rash. And I said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, I was exposed to radiation. I said, come on, it was an ANFO bomb, which is a fertilizer bomb. He said, no, we did the forensics. Their special op forensic, Delta Force team of chemists that went to the Khobar Towers in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Said they had 7 times as much ANFO. All it did was push the windows in immediately close to it. Didn't do any structural damage to the building. So the Murrah building was destroyed they removed 2 Army Corps Engineer, U.S. Army Corps Engineer micronukes, RDX and high explosive core, C4 Pineapple, and C4 that was on the pillars of the parking garage. And he wanted me to test them for radioisotopes because he didn't want to have a deformed child. So he spent over 2 hours explaining in great detail, and I have a photographic memory, so I went over every detail of this. And I've also reviewed this with General Ben Parton and other munitions experts, and I've got everything. We even had Jesse Trentadue, who's an attorney whose brother was assaulted and beaten to death and electrocuted as one of the so-called guys that looked like one of their team they thought went rogue from Elohim City. So this is totally closed. The government did this, and it was the same material kind of demolition stuff they did in 9/11.
May I read his final comments from David? So for your listeners out there, no matter how bad off you may feel, how sick you may become, never give up, because somewhere between prayer, God, Jesus, and fellow truth teachers and healers will come healing, no matter how miraculous your needs may be.
Exactly. And got a point. He had my daytimer to be there. I was there also for the first kid shot in Columbine, and released in 2007 when I analyzed the U.S. geological data for the World Trade Center. I released 40 anomalies proving it was a nuclear demolition. Then I got the documents from a Finnish munitions expert that are posted up, 35-page PDF on clay and iron, proving that the World Trade Center was demolished by nukes because they had contracted with this Finnish munitions expert from the Port Authority of New York and Silverstein in 1998, 3 years before 9/11. So guess what? More false flags, and there's more coming under the current fool we have in the White House.
Well, you talked right into the the end of the show.
We're going to have to make your show a 2-hour show, so...
Oh, no, you're not going to start that again. Anyways, Bill, everyone have a wonderful weekend. I hope it rains right through to Sunday here. I don't know where you are, but I'm sure that you're probably not as dry as we are in California.
And our detectors, by the way, are not detecting any radioactivity in our...
Oh, that's right, too.
Yeah, people need to know that radioactivity is in the oceans. It's not in the air. The air, by the way, goes over the Rocky Mountains, dips down into the Midwest, as I said to my friend yesterday, Tim Alexander, then it heads for the Northeast right to Washington, D.C.
God bless you. We love you. We'll see you next week.
Yeah. Back in a minute for hour number 2. Every hour is open lines except the first hour Friday. Call in 800-259-5791, but stay on topic. Tell our board op John today what your question is or statement.